In a small town, there lived a young man named Jake. At 22, he was known for his sharp wit and clever comebacks, but his words often cut deeper than he intended. He had a knack for making people laugh, but sometimes his humor came at the expense of others. He didn't realize how much his words could hurt until one fateful afternoon. One sunny day, Jake was hanging out with his friends at the local park. They were joking around when he spotted Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman who lived nearby. She was known for her kindness and her beautiful garden, which was the pride of the neighborhood. Jake, in a moment of jest, shouted, "Hey, Mrs. Thompson, are you growing flowers or just weeds? Because I can't tell from here." His friends erupted in laughter, but Mrs. Thompson's smile faded. She looked at Jake with a mix of disappointment and sadness. "Jake," she said softly, "words have power. They can lift someone up or tear them down. Be careful how you use them." Jake shrugged off her advice, thinking she was just being overly sensitive. But as the days passed, he noticed something strange. Mrs. Thompson, who used to greet him with a warm smile, now avoided him. Her garden, once vibrant and full of life, seemed to lose its color. Jake felt a twinge of guilt but dismissed it, convincing himself that it was just a joke. One evening, while walking home, Jake saw Mrs. Thompson sitting on her porch, staring at her garden. He hesitated but decided to approach her. "Hey, Mrs. Thompson," he said, trying to sound casual. "I was just wondering why you haven't been around lately." She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting years of wisdom. "Sometimes, Jake, when people are hurt, they need time to heal. Your words may have seemed harmless to you, but they affected me deeply." Jake felt a knot in his stomach. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just joking." Mrs. Thompson nodded. "I know. But jokes can sometimes mask our true feelings. It's important to think before we speak. You have a gift for words, Jake. Use it wisely." Her words struck a chord within him. He realized that his humor, which he thought was harmless, had consequences. He had never considered how his jokes might affect others. "I'm really sorry, Mrs. Thompson. I'll do better," he promised. Over the next few weeks, Jake made a conscious effort to change. He started complimenting people instead of making jokes at their expense. He visited Mrs. Thompson often, helping her in her garden and listening to her stories. Slowly, their friendship blossomed, and he learned the beauty of kindness and the impact of uplifting words. One day, as they tended to the flowers together, Mrs. Thompson smiled and said, "You've grown, Jake. I'm proud of you." Jake beamed with pride. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. I've learned that words can be like seeds. They can either grow into something beautiful or wither away. I want to plant kindness wherever I go." From that day on, Jake became known not just for his humor but for his compassion. He learned that true strength lies in lifting others up, and he carried that lesson with him for the rest of his life.